Hi, imagine this. It's evening, you're in a voice chat with friends, and you're looking for a game that's more than just running around or shooting. You want a real adventure to live through together. Worlds where teamwork decides the outcome of a mission, and the atmosphere can make you hold your breath in tension or laugh until you cry. Today, I've put together a list of the most spectacular games with online co-op. Here you'll find everything, from brutal post-apocalyptic survival and zombie hunts to naval battles and space exploration. Let's start with Sunkenland. This is a fresh take on the survival genre, a mix of Rust and Subnautica, but with a PvE focus. The world is flooded, and much of the adventure unfolds not just on islands but underwater, which makes the gameplay truly unique. Frequent NPC raids keep you on edge, while crafting and exploration offer dozens of hours of content. Yes, the game has its rough edges, bugs, combat balance issues, and a weak endgame when top-tier gear comes too quickly. But despite that, Sunkenland pulls you in. From the first hours of crab hunting to building advanced vehicles and firearms, the hero's journey feels like a real adventure. Dying Light, the Beast. This is exactly the sequel fans were waiting for. The atmosphere of the first game is back. Dark streets, long nights, and far deadlier enemies. You have to play more carefully. Stamina runs out fast, chimeras are more lethal, and every trip into the darkness feels like a trial. The return of Kyle Crane is especially exciting, the legendary hero whose story becomes darker and more tragic here. The narrative strips away any illusion of choice, showing that in a post-apocalyptic world, pragmatism and brutality always win. Co-op delivers tons of emotions, though there are still bugs and technical issues. But it's the uncompromising atmosphere and hardcore challenge that make the Beast hit harder than the second installment. Remnant II, a true gift for hardcore action RPG fans. The game takes the best from the first part and pushes it further. More worlds, more bosses, more variety. Thanks to procedural generation, every run is unique. Maps, enemies, even bosses can change, turning each playthrough into a brand new adventure. The archetype system is deeper now. You can combine classes and create unique builds. In co-op, the game shines brightest. Synergy between teammates and epic boss fights bring unforgettable moments. Visually, Remnant II impresses with its detailed worlds, flashy animations, and dark fantasy atmosphere. Back 4 Blood, the spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead, but with new mechanics and a modern twist. At its core, it's 4-player co-op against endless hordes of infected. The main hook is the card system, letting you create unique builds and change how each run feels. Add random mission modifiers, and no two runs are alike. Sure, playing solo with bots feels bland, but with friends, Back 4 Blood truly shines. It's a dynamic, replayable shooter that doesn't just copy Left 4 Dead, but offers its own take on the zombie apocalypse, brighter, more team-oriented, with a focus on progression. Helldivers 2, the gold standard of co-op, where every player feels like part of a massive army fighting for humanity's freedom. There's no who got the most kills here. Everyone contributes, and accidental friendly fire is just that. An accident, not competition. That's why even playing with random teammates is fun. They feel like true brothers in arms. The game is rich in content and keeps getting updates. It has an amazing community, a simple yet addictive idea, and the sense that your small efforts add up to a global victory. Killing Floor 3 carries on the tradition of the series, adding more speed, customization, and epic battles against mutant hordes. Now each character has ultimate abilities, weapons can be tailored to your style, and the perk and build system lets you experiment freely. The biggest upgrade is movement. Dodges, slides, and jumps make fights even more dynamic. Yes, the starting content feels a bit thin, not too many maps or weapons, and optimization still needs work. The new futuristic style isn't for everyone either, especially fans of the gritty old look. But the core gameplay, the blood, the chaos, and the teamwork works perfectly. No more room in Hell 2. a hardcore co-op zombie survival game that was unfairly buried under early negative reviews. Yes, it's tough. The first hours are pure stress until you learn the mechanics and start working as a team. But that's exactly what makes it unique. This isn't mindless shooting. Every fight against a horde demands tactics, focus, and coordination. The atmosphere is the game's strongest side. Darkness, scarce resources, the constant sense of danger, and the incredible attention to detail keep you on edge every minute. It's basically Resident Evil in co-op, where one mistake can cost the entire team their lives. Crime Boss, Rockay City. A mix of payday and roguelike, wrapped in the style of 90s action movies. You build a gang, take over turf, rob stores and banks, while progressing through a story told with stylish cutscenes featuring real actors. Sure, it's not perfect. The story heists are stronger than the random ones, but the game keeps getting updates and slowly grows with new content. Co-op works well here, and the bots are finally useful. They carry bags, help out, and don't feel like dead weight. New features like loot weight, carrying 2 bags at once, and no more annoying drills are all great additions. Saints Row, a reboot telling the story of how the Saints gang was born. Many fans pushed back because it's different from the older games, but if you drop the comparisons, what you get is a bright, energetic open-world action game. There's a main story, tons of side missions, businesses to run, car and weapon customization, and even crazy minigames like cardboard roleplay battles. The gameplay is fast, the city feels varied, and the soundtrack nails the vibe. A new in-game phone makes managing everything easy, from missions to music and character customization, while a bit lighter, still lets you create your own unique hero. It's not Grand Theft Auto and it's not old Saints Row. It's a fresh take on the series. World War Z. A fantastic co-op shooter where the real star isn't your character, but the hordes themselves. We're talking thousands of zombies, swarming rooftops, climbing over each other in terrifying body pyramids, and flooding the screen until it looks straight out of the Brad Pitt movie. Each mission mixes pushing through waves with defending choke points using turrets, barbed wire, and machine guns. Co-op is where the game truly shines. Roles need to be divided, everyone covers each other, and teamwork is the only way to survive. Otherwise, the horde will wipe you out. Class and weapon progression adds depth, and the variety of maps and characters keeps it exciting. Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora. Basically Far Cry set in the world of Avatar. The setting is crafted with incredible detail. Pandora looks alive, colorful, and instantly recognizable, as if it stepped right out of Cameron's movie. Forests, floating mountains, wildlife, plants. Everything is stunning, and exploring the planet can keep you hooked for hours. The first flight on your mount is especially breathtaking. Gameplay is familiar, gathering resources, crafting, upgrading gear, and battling corporate soldiers. Beautiful, but the endless grind can get tiring. The story doesn't hit the level of the films, and characters feel underused. Still, the atmosphere and open world carry the experience. Sons of the Forest, the sequel to the legendary The Forest, and it's far more massive and immersive. Seasons, dynamic weather, realistic forests, and snowy winters make it one of the most beautiful survival games ever. Winter is especially brutal. Food runs out, water freezes, and the cold itself becomes your enemy. Gameplay feels familiar but expanded. More crafting, more freedom in building, more threats. Cannibals and mutants are smarter now. They observe, assess, and attack in groups. Special mention goes to Kelvin, your AI companion, who helps with building and gathering. Though sometimes he acts a bit odd. This isn't just a survival sim, it's a true test of endurance, and in co-op, it's amazing. No Man's Sky. A meditative space adventure in an endless procedural universe. You start with nothing on a hostile planet, and just repairing your ship feels like a challenge, especially in survival or permadeath modes. But over time, the grind turns into a flow, upgrading your gear, building bases in scenic spots, trading, fighting pirates, building a fleet, and uncovering ancient mysteries. The game is a textbook redemption story, from a rough launch to a massive universe full of content today. There's something for everyone. farming, exploration, base building, co-op expeditions. If you love slow, atmospheric survival with that sense of discovery, No Man's Sky can give you hundreds of hours. V Rising. Here, you become a vampire lord, raising a castle from ruins, hunting at night, and building your dark domain. It's a clever blend of action RPG, survival, and light strategy. Develop builds, combine powers, harvest essences from bosses, set up production chains, and customize your gothic fortress. The atmosphere is fantastic. Twilight forests, foggy swamps, pure medieval darkness. The map is compact and story is minimal, so the main drive is progression and boss fights. On higher difficulties, combat feels almost Souls-like, where learning enemy patterns is key. Post-launch content has grown, but once the final bosses are down, there's little left to do. Still, as a co-op sandbox for a week or two of intense play, it's an excellent pick. Dune Awakening, a multiplayer survival game set in the sands of Arrakis, where heat, thirst, and sandstorms dictate survival. Resource gathering and base building are central, but everything comes with risk. Ignore hydration and you die. Skip fuel and your structures decay. Forget taxes and your base can be destroyed. Progression from ground vehicles to air transports opens access to the deep desert, with rare materials and deadly PvP threats. The setting respects the lore, delivered through an alternate storyline full of background detail and faction conflicts between Atreides and Harkonnens. Combat is simple and accessible, with stealth and various weapons, but don't expect deep action mechanics. Playing solo is tough. Co-op makes survival easier and opens the door to large spice zones. Dead Island 2, a full-on festival of blood and neon. Los Angeles is turned into a vibrant, detailed playground where every villa, street, and movie studio feels alive, and the zombie dismemberment system is an art form of its own. Combat is so stylish that you'll want to drag out fights just to enjoy every exploding limb. Even without one seamless open world, each area is crafted so carefully that exploring them is pure fun. The story is simple, but humor and colorful characters make it feel like a wild apocalypse TV series. In 4-player co-op, the game truly shines. Smashing hordes of zombies together is pure joy. Darktide. Warhammer turned into a co-op action game, for players cut their way through hordes of mutants, demons, and cultists while defending the Imperium in the Hive City's twisted tunnels. The setting is flawless: Gothic hive spires, industrial catacombs, and a horror atmosphere straight from the grim-dark future. With a story by Dan Abnett, the game even feels like official canon. Gameplay recalls Left 4 Dead, but with a focus on melee combat and customization. Each class has unique skills, weapons can be upgraded and tweaked, and the constant sense of threat never lets go. Sure, missions can feel repetitive and class balance isn't perfect, but the visuals and pure Warhammer spirit make Darktide a must-play for fans and hardcore co-op lovers alike. Battlefield 6. A return to classic form after the failure of Battlefield 2042. Once again, you've got massive maps, 64-player battles, destruction, and defined class roles. Spiritually, it feels like a mix of parts 3 and 4, but with modern graphics and improved gunplay that shines even brighter thanks to open weapon modding. The campaign is more of a formality, it has big set pieces, but multiplayer is where the game lives. The real thrill comes from the chaos of large-scale battles, where teamwork and luck decide everything. Progression is slow, with weapons and gadgets unlocking gradually, but that just keeps you playing longer. Hunt Showdown 1896, a unique shooter where tension and strategy matter more than speed. You're a monster hunter in the Louisiana swamps, but the real danger isn't just the beasts. It's the other players ready to steal your prize. Every move, every shot has consequences. Make noise, and you'll draw enemies. Make a mistake, and you'll pay with your life. The atmosphere is outstanding. Eerie screams, barking dogs, crows taking flight, the creak of rusted metal. It feels like living inside a horror story. The balance is harsh. Newcomers will suffer, while veterans can snap sniff out prey from miles away, but that brutality makes victory incredibly satisfying. Hunt isn't about non-stop shooting, it's about nerves, waiting, and striking at the perfect moment. Solo is tough, but with a partner, every match becomes a story. Borderlands 4 takes a step in a new direction, a bigger open world, a more serious tone, and less chaotic farce. Legendary weapons are now truly legendary, dropping less often but feeling more rewarding. The skill trees are deeper, with multiple active abilities per character returning, while cutscenes and dialogue give heroes more personality. The world feels alive with day-night cycles, weather, and exploration tied to upgrades. Co-op is cross-platform, and Mad Moxie now lets you replay bosses easily. Downsides? Technical hiccups, unstable FPS, bugs, and no minimap, which makes navigation tougher. But overall, it's the right course. Less clownishness, more weight, and a strong looter shooter at its core. Skull and Bones. A multiplayer pirate game, but it's not about boarding ships. It's all about the sea, ships, and cannon battles. The gameplay revolves around farming, upgrading your vessel, and arcade-style naval combat. Blasting enemies, maneuvering, gathering resources, and slowly becoming master of the seas. The visuals are stunning, the ocean looks incredible, performance has improved, and ship and character customization is solid. But keep in mind, land combat is almost non-existent, boarding is reduced to cutscenes, and grinding takes up a huge chunk of the experience. The game feels more like a mid-tier release, though Ubisoft promises long-term support and updates. Right now, Skull and Bones is a solid naval simulator with RPG elements, but if you expect a new Black Flag, it's best to lower your expectations. Once Human. A survival game mixed with a dark, eerie narrative. You enter a distorted world filled with fog, anomalies, and nightmare-like monsters. The atmosphere is spot on, vibrant visuals, unsettling sounds, and every location feels unique. It's not just about building and crafting. Uncovering the story matters just as much. Piecing together fragments of lore and searching for answers is as engaging as hunting massive creatures. Construction is free-form, crafting is deep, and every upgrade feels like a true achievement. The downsides? A steep learning curve and lots of grind. But in co-op, those challenges transform into memorable shared adventures. Painkiller. Not the cult 2004 Painkiller, and that's why fans are split. But taken as a new interpretation, it's a fast-paced co-op shooter in the style of Dune and Vermintide. The gameplay thrives on aggression. To survive, you attack. Dodging, sliding, finishers, and alternate fire modes push you to stay on the offensive and work as a team. The story and atmosphere don't hit the heights of the original, but the combat is fierce, stylish, and dynamic. Optimization is solid, bugs are minimal, and co-op runs smoothly. Solo, the game feels weaker. It's clearly designed to be played with friends. Core Keeper. A cozy indie sandbox that feels like a mix of Terraria and Stardew Valley. With a top-down camera, soft pixel art, and chill music, you dig tunnels, explore biomes, fight bosses, and build your own corner of the underground world. What makes it special is the freedom to experiment. You can gather resources and progress in creative ways, using clever item combinations and builds. In 8-player co-op, the game truly shines. Mining together, building bases, and raiding bosses turns it into a delightful shared adventure. Grounded 2. Obsidian continues its unusual survival series, where players shrink to tiny humans in a giant insect world. This time, the action unfolds in Brooklyn Park, with the original kids now teenagers facing new dangers. The core gameplay is the same, but deeper and smoother. A new perk system allows flexible builds you can switch on the fly. Combat is more tactical. Enemies block, dodge, and force you to use timing and parries. The standout feature is taming insects. Pets now offer real gameplay value. They can haul resources, fight alongside you, and even call in allies for backup. These games show that co-op isn't just a mode, it's an entire genre of experiences. What matters most isn't just the gameplay or graphics, but the way you and your friends live through every moment together. That's what makes these games special and why you keep coming back. The Image Game channel was with you. Have a nice day.